Hi, everyone. Today we have a really different but interesting topic and guest. So I'm so excited to have Suzie Baleson here. And Suzie, I just want to welcome you. I want to say a stat that is astounding to me, and correct me if I'm wrong. So, is it that 1 to 2% of all VC funding in the US goes to women?
Is correct. And it's closer to one than.
Okay, so today's topic is a little bit about creator and influencer marketing, but through the lens of getting funding. And I'm excited to welcome Suzie Baleson to the podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, could you tell us a little bit more about how we got connected and your company and why you're here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm always happy to jump in for friends like Whitney. So a very good mutual friend. Whitney is a powerhouse in the consumer goods space, launching new brands from mostly the better for you space. And she and I have had the opportunity to work together many times over the past decade. We both worked on the Body Armor group of brands, and all the way now we're working on a new baked snack, better for you baked snack that we can certainly talk about too. And so from an investor point of view, have a venture fund, Wellth Ventures. We really are more a small group of women that invest together more so than a standard fund. The women that we invest with are some of the absolute leading ladies in consumer goods. And we come together and bring both our funds and raise funds to go into products that we think make sense. And so our venture side, we again, just have a badass group of women that get to come together and one, invest, but then two, work with the portfolio companies that we invest in. So it all started from my agency, Wellth Collective, which I've had for over a decade now. And we work with better for you consumer goods from a mostly an experiential and community building standpoint.
So you got into investing because you worked as an experiential marketing agency.
Yes, exactly. My background before I started the agency was finance. I did
I was
international.
like,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
did.
yeah, you had to have some kind of finance background. Yeah.
Yeah, I did international tax restructuring. I was a tax accountant for the first decade of my career.
Oh my.
And through a whirlwind of kind of change in my career, working with a family office on the investment side, and then starting a marketing agency, which at the time I had no idea what I was doing, but it was very early in the better for you space. So yeah, kind of all culminated in what today is both investing with friends really, and then yeah, continuing to work on the experiential side.
So you still do experiential?
I do. Yep, absolutely. Mostly 90% for companies that we're invested in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask a question because, I'm bootstrapped and I built my agency, and I think that there's a lot of listeners who probably are smaller, better for you brands, but on the flip side, the creators, what do you think it is about the female founder? Like, what are the myths? What are people missing? I know it's a loaded question.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely a loaded question, but also it's mostly loaded, I would say, because, 10 years ago, we would have this conversation and say 2% of venture funding went to women. A decade later, it is drastically decreased.
How come?
More funding is not going to women, less funding is going to women. And I think there's a lot of things. Like I have two toddlers, I have a 1.5-year-old and a 3.5-year-old. And to say that they don't take my focus away from the insane amount that I used to be able to work would be untrue. Like they do. And I think that most people who are investing, and most of the investors, the venture funds, the private equity funds, they're men, and they think that. And what they don't know is that my kids have just made me focus more on the hours that I have to work. And I am way more productive. There's no question in that time. And I don't have the time to brainstorm as much as I used to, maybe because my hours that I'm working might have shrunk a little bit, but it hasn't changed my productivity. It's really increased it. And I think that that's the myth, is that women have to go focus on their family, and they have to go, that it takes away their ability to function as a business person. And it's just wrong. And you see, when you look at some of the biggest, I mean, obviously we can't talk about this topic without talking about Simple Mills and Poppy and these female founded brands who these women are absolutely incredible. And I just saw Allison from Poppy is going to start her next brand. And like, how many people, every venture fund, every private equity fund would back her today? Like, there's no question. So when you look at the actual facts, women are as productive, if not more, than the men starting the same companies. And
I'm gonna say a little phenomenon too, because I see it in my hippy dippy town here in South Orange, New Jersey, and it's with all due respect, but I do think that it is a myth on the flip side. There are a lot of women who are the primary breadwinners. And so my whole block, like I would say 80% is women and the men are stay-at-home dads. So there's that too,
yeah,
that assumption the women are, distracted or they have all these other commitments because of the family, but there's a lot of men staying home and the woman is, and you might be missing that opportunity because the woman is actually the full force breadwinner.
100%. And I can't tell you where I read this, but yesterday I was like reading some things about this topic just to be up to date for today. And it was something like 40% of households, the woman is the breadwinner, which like that is so wild compared to even 10 years ago. But it's incredible. Like women are out there doing so much. And the thing that people forget is that women have the purchasing power. Even if
Oh, yeah.
the man of the house, let's say, or it is bringing in the dollars, the women have the purchasing power. We decide what goes in our carts. We decide what our kids eat. We decide like it. So regardless of who's home or who's not home, the woman still has that power and that say.
I did consulting when I left corporate America just between gigs, like many
Yeah,
people. And I remember I worked for the biggest CPG company for a few months, and their whole phrase was, "Mom is CEO of the family." That's,
exactly.
yeah.
Totally. And so it just makes sense to me that mom would also be CEO of her company, right? Like it just seems obvious.
I have, kudos to you because this is amazing. And I'd like to continue the conversation separately. But, I see like obviously on the TikTok, like if you could do this tomorrow, what would you do? If you obviously work with a lot of brands, if you had $5 million tomorrow to create a whole brand, where would you do it? What would you do?
I I definitely think the better for you snack and beverage and supplement space is still like very early. I don't know if I would start my own brand. That is just for me, like being in the space for so long isn't. I know many, many people strive to have their own brand. Like for me personally, that's not, I really like building and I really like helping other people build what they're passionate about. So for me, I would say, I mean, by the time you're investing a $5 million check, that is a big check into a like small brand, let's say. So I would say that brand probably needs to already have raised a few $1 billion to build the brand and have some real retail traction or D2C traction, whatever that looks like for that specific brand. And I'd want to like co-invest with a bigger fund who can, because I'm an individual who has people that we invest with. And technically we've invested in multiple ways through an actual fund structure, but then mostly through SPVs now, which is really how we kind of do things. So as an individual, our firepower is, I mean, it's insane. Like we have I would argue, leading food scientist and beverage in our group. A woman who like started at Pepsi, made caffeine-free Diet Coke back in the day and made body armor, vitamin water, like core water, like you name it. She's made it. And we have that firepower of being able to help brands grow, but a venture fund has a structure. So, or a private equity fund has a structure. So if I had $5 million, sorry, long-winded answer to, I would go and co-invest with a private equity fund into a company that is definitely post-revenue showing traction and where that 5 million can be super, super meaningful.
Okay. Now, if you were a brand that was like, okay, you get funding as a marketer now, because that's the finance side, how would you grow your business? Because I know how hard it is to build a community. Like people are like, oh, build the community, listen to the culture. That's
Yeah,
not so easy. Like that doesn't happen. Like
no, it's
what would
not.
you?
I mean, it's hard, but that's what I would do. I would focus on community and creator, like
How
without
do
it.
you break that down? Forget the
Yeah.
creator.
So,
How do you? Yeah, the community.
yeah.
I'm just so
So, community side, I think for a brand, retail is key, right? We want to get our brands to 70, 80% retail and less D2C. That's standard. That's not every brand. Like you can look at Grooms, of course, that's not their case. They're full D2C. But brands that we're looking at, like that's what we like. But you build your community often through D2C before you go into retail, because then you have your
loyal.
hummingbirds, call them,
Yeah.
yeah, that can
Yeah.
go out into the retailer and buy your product off the shelf. I can, there's an example of a brand that I've seen recently who they had one product, were very D2C focused, just launched an entire separate line, and they're selling out on shelves because they have this community they've spent years building. So I would put those dollars into in real life activations without question. You see in marketing talk right now, like you don't know what's AI, what's not. You don't know, like you can build digitally for sure, but those in real life moments build, like a consumer needs to see or touch your brand 8 to 10 times before they are a lifetime customer. So when you do that in real life, I think you can get multiple touch points in one session of real IRL moments, because you can have connection. When we do events, like there are a few things that we want every single time. We want connection for sure. We want exploration and trying the product. Most people at these events are trying it for the first time, or trying it in a new way. We want a takeaway. So maybe that's us, as simple as us giving somebody a coupon, or maybe that's us inviting somebody to join an ambassador program or things along those lines. But I think that's like absolutely the combination of building your digital community with your in real life community is where I would put dollars.
We have seen, we've been around for a long time. And for years, I was like, you need to show influencers, creators in store down to the shelf level. Again, everyone now is talking about that, but that has been the biggest shift. Like now everyone's like, how do we do that? Can you do it?
Yep.
It's not that easy too, because there's a lot of different nuances. What's the geo? What's the affinity to the store? It's not always the same store. Does that influencer focus on that niche? But that is this year the biggest shift that we've seen. When you talk about like the D2C versus the in real life, do you have any, and this is like an off the cuff question, like everyone, you see on, you brought up AI, the whole model of like flooding and breaking the algorithms with like, we're going to get, 100 influencers on TikTok sharing the message. Have you ever seen that break? Like the companies still have to ship like a Groon's thousands of products or goalie every week. Like, do you believe in that model? Does it work for some? Is it too late? Whereby, when I say the model, because it pops up in my feed every day, get 100 influencers or 300 influencers, get them each posting 30-second videos, 3 videos each, take the best ones, boost those ones. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it works. I definitely think it works. I think that there's a combination of, I don't think just having influencers. I think having UGC creators and like everyday moms or people, whatever your consumer is, everyday college kids out there showing how they use your product in their everyday life is all what we want. Our goal, no matter what we're talking about in marketing, is connection to our why of the brand. So when you have a UGC creator or a large creator who has a huge following talking about your brand in an authentic way, people connect with it. So I absolutely, and I think doing that at scale, like most of these small brands or newer brands, number one thing that we need is awareness. People just need to know who we are. We're a new brand. Like, so when you're talking, and it's different whether you're a startup or whether you're, a $400 million company that's 10 years in, like a Liquid Death. And Liquid Death still cares a lot about their top of funnel. But for a small brand, that's like really, really what matters. You need more people to know who you are, and having content out there at scale, like it is a really good way to do it, in my opinion.
What do you think is the biggest no-no when it comes, or myth that in creator, like that doesn't work or that's broken? Is there anything that you could think of?
I mean, I think that we're seeing that smaller creators and UGC type content is converting better. I think that you can just get a celebrity or social media celebrity on board and have it make your brand is wrong. I think there was a time when that worked for sure, when this was newer and people like felt like they had an actual personal connection to a celebrity. But I think those days are kind of over because of social media. We have so much more access to people.
Talent. It's like,
Exactly.
it's so crazy. There's so much talent. And
Yeah.
I think like that's also, I think that there's a big, with the rates, like if you're a creator listening, you
Wild.
have to be really careful with your rates because you're walking away from brand deals because it's like, oh, my rate is over here, but there's a lot of other people and it's,
Totally.
yeah.
And I think one of the things, like speaking of Whitney, who connected us, one of her superpowers, which I like to think it's one of mine too, and it's why she and I get along so well, is connection to the
Oh,
people
she's,
in our tribe. Like Whitney knows everyone, and she doesn't just know everyone. People love her. She is kind and sweet and smart and get shit done. Like that is such a rare thing. So I think when you're building a brand, you're not necessarily as a founder going to know everyone in the space, but when you bring people around you who do and have great reputations and can execute, like that will help you build your community. It will help you get media. And like Whitney technically is PR, but she is so much more than that. Like she could run marketing for a brand, no question in my mind.
Oh, I mean, we've
So
been working with her forever, and
yeah,
she's just like, and then I see her like writing everywhere. Can you connect me with this? And she makes those connections,
she
even
does
like
it.
on collabs. Like,
So I think that like super creator or celebrity at that high price point making your brand is the myth. But I think that if you have people in your circle who are deep in this space, they can go to a creator that they've worked with 10 times who might have a $500,000 fee. But because we've done 10 deals with them for our new small brand, we'll be able to go and get some content there at a much lower price point. And like that I think might be worth it. But I think like just having a celeb brand be a celeb brand is not it anymore.
I think to me, and we've done a bunch of those collabs, A, the engagement is much lower, but B, if you're going to take all your money and put it in one person, you're only tapping into one audience and you're only getting one set of content. And I say this all the time. Imagine you took that budget, you could probably get 100 creators at the micro level,
Yep.
target, test different audience, see who resonates, get all different kinds of content, which then feeds everything. Like, and then you're tapping into so many different audiences in terms of a reach and awareness.
Yeah, there is one, speaking of what you do, like one thing that we haven't really talked about is just getting product in hands. Like I started in CPG on the beverage side, like hands in hands is it, right? You need people to taste your product for them to be able to. And that's why I love our in real life events. But the other thing is just seeding product to people. And that can be creators or that could be like any group of consumers. So whether you're at events or you're sending boxes, like it's really, I think that like you can't talk about the digital creator sharing side without also talking about getting people to try your product. So I think that like dollar that we're putting into marketing, you kind of have to split it between like products because there's obviously lots of costs when we're shipping and being part of like
Right.
really interesting boxes, which we also like is the other very important thing on the brand
I mean,
side.
I will say, I think people, the custom kits are expensive, and that's why we do co-ops so that these smaller emerging brands can say, you know what, we could do it. Those are media buys. We have a program, it's social sampling, and I don't see people doing it. It's more the idea the influencer gets something, they're talking about it. You send them, do you want a sample? Because now you're getting first party data. Their audience can fill out and say they want a sample. And then we could send out samples to all these people. Now, obviously, you might need to cap it if it's too many samples and you're a smaller brand. But, that's kind of like a great way to leverage creators and then get first in, people, saying, I want the sample and then sending it their way.
And if it becomes too many and you don't have the budget to fulfill all of it, you can say the first however many and
Yeah.
follow up with a coupon. And there's cost to couponing too, right? Whether you're using, aisle or whatever it is, or paper coupons, like there's cost, but it's less expensive. And so there's definitely ways to capture everyone without necessarily sending them something. And like one of the things that I love to do is build ambassador programs. And the ambassador programs are very low cost. Like you have to have your platform to do it. And then we start out with just sending a coupon, like join us. And then they get to be part of either a Discord or an Instagram channel where we're now
They're
seeing
the
our
VIP.
ambassadors. Yeah, they're sharing their carts, they're asking questions. We can ask them like, what flavor should we do next? Like that is a huge thing with your community, is actually engaging them, because you see them once, that's great, but you want to see them way more times than once, of course. And so engaging your community and let them build with you if you're a small brand is, I mean, there are a few very wildly impressive young women who are building brands right now with their audience. They are out there like
Can you
testing.
name any of them?
Sure, yeah, like Sour Milk. They're super interesting. It's an interesting brand. They're two like really smart Stanford young women who they were creators. I believe. I'm not an expert on them, but this is what I think. So definitely Google them, but were creator first. Now they've started this brand and you can see them like trying product, you see how they're marketing it, you see like every single little thing and like the wins and the failures. Glow nuts. I'm not 100% sure what's happening with glow nuts right now. I'm not sure if they're still around, but the way they built was so authentic and open that like I think what they're doing is like shifting their brand into a different brand, but or a different product. But regardless, like when you go and look at them, like they were out there and you could see every single step of the way. And I think that, so again, going back to Allison from Poppy, I just saw this on Instagram a couple days ago or yesterday or something. Like she's just announced she's doing a new brand. And the
Do we,
first
you know
thing
what it is?
I don't. And the
It's-
first thing that she said is, the thing we're missing is you. Email us here to work with us and launch our next brand. Like that's
Wow.
incredible. And I think that like proves the point that engaging your community is how you do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, how if we could say share parting advice, because as you just said, there's a lot of creators launching their own things, and that doesn't mean you have to be a mega creator to do it. So if you could give with the lens of, funding females and the creators or any other, entrepreneurs out there, what advice would you give them?
I say just go. Like if you I often tell entrepreneurs who like have a corporate job who are leaving, like don't do this unless you absolutely feel like you have like a burning desire inside of you to go create this in the world. And once you have that, if you've decided, like just go. Don't wait. Don't like you are very likely way more talented and ready to go build than a lot of the men out there who aren't ashamed of it or aren't like worried about what other people will think or worried about failure. Like you probably are going to fail. 90 something percent of brands fail, but that failure might just start your next thing, which will be
Yeah,
the biggest win ever. So like don't be scared. Don't have, try and get past that fear. Like it's obviously okay to have it. We all have it, but like try and put it in a box and go and do what you know you're able and capable of doing. And don't let anyone tell you that you're not.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for how can people find you if anyone wants to reach out? Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're Wellth Collective on Instagram and TikTok. Wellth is wellness wealth. So the way we spell it is WELLTH. And our whole ethos is redefining wealth and really making it more fully rounded, which is what women who are out there building need, I think. So yeah, find us at wellthcollective.com on social or reach out, Suzie at wellthcollective.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Sherri.